We're closing for commitments. So if you're not asking for commitments when we're closing, then we're not really closing. We're just hoping and wishing, and quite frankly, our expectations can really get damaged about this whole industry going forward. Hi, this is Brian Icenhower, and welcome to The Art of Closing. When we talk about closing, we're really talking about a transition. We're transitioning from where we stop talking about what we will do and ask them if they're ready to start doing it. If you are good at closing, you are good at relieving people's stress. Because when people buy and sell real estate, or they buy and sell anything, a certain level of stress is incited because they have a decision to make. And if you're able to close someone, that means we have been able to get them to self-realize their best interests and what they want, and get them okay and comfortable with making a decision on it. You know, transition is scary. Making big changes is scary, and shelter is a big change. If we're moving from one shelter to the other, we're talking about a lot of money, we're talking about a lot of debt, and people can just get paralyzed in that. So the ability to close them and get them to see that this is in their best interest, and get them comfortable and confident with moving forward and moving on to what they want in life. A new house is a new neighborhood, it's a new lifestyle, it's making a big switch, and getting them through that switch quickly is what we do when we're able to close somebody. So it's really about helping people. Now the converse situation is also terrible if we do not close. If we are people pleasers and we always just do what our clients say, that's very dangerous. It'd be like a doctor who has a patient that's a smoker, and the patient says, well, I want to keep smoking. I like it. It's my quality of life. I don't want to be on this planet if I can't smoke. And a doctor that doesn't kind of make them aware of the health risks, the fact that they could die a little sooner than they think, and they might not get to see their grandkids be born, or their kids graduate from high school, or whatever it may be, a good doctor would advise them against that practice and actually have tough conversations to help them self-discover. Why? Because the doctor knows a little bit more than they do. And quite frankly, we as real estate agents do too. I can't tell you how often that we just want to do what our clients say, but we need to redirect them. Like if they want to look for property and in a real hot real estate market and they haven't been pre-qualified, you know, they might see the house they want and not be able to get it because other people snatch it up because they haven't even met with a lender yet. Or how many people want to put their house up for sale at too high of a price to test the market, not realizing that that will actually stagnate the house and make it seem old and unwanted, so that they ultimately have to end up reducing much further and lower than a price than they would have gotten had they just priced it correctly at the right price. So those little things, there's lots of things like that. There's hundreds, if not thousands of those that they need us for. So they got to understand, we need to be the good agents that can actually step up and make those statements. And moving forward and into action is often one of those statements. So being able to actually show them and convince them how to move forward. Another great example would be this. I mean, if you don't ask for commitments for you, it can create a lot of heartache for both you and them. I can't tell you how many times agents, because they have not been trained to do so, they developed a habit of working with buyers without first securing some sort of exclusive buyer agency agreement. The vast majority of agents don't use them, and you'll see most top producers do, and most high producing teams do, because they've been trained, they've had a coach, they've been trained how to sell, and there's a reason we do that, and that reason is not just to lock in a client to work with us. That's the perception, and that's the excuse a lot of people that don't use them. I don't want to lock in a client. Well, that's not true. When you actually have a buyer, and you show them a lot of properties on nights and weekends, how would you feel if they then went and bought a house with somebody else or directly from a home builder without letting you know after spending 2 weekends with them? You'd be upset. You'd be mad. Well, I've seen a lot of people get out of the business because how disloyal they discover people are. But quite frankly, that agent that refuses to make having a buyer agency agreement signed part of their normal sales process, they have a lot to own there, because they themselves, had the courage to close for a commitment on a buyer agency agreement, would have been very clear about the expectations. Hey, this is just an agreement where we agree to work together to help you find the home. And this authorizes me to work for you. And we let them read through it and sign it. Now it's real clear. We've said, you're working with me. But if we were too afraid to have that conversation, just like that doctor's too afraid to tell his client to stop smoking, or his patient to stop smoking, then we're gonna create a little ambiguity because we really don't have a commitment. And they're gonna say, well, we talked to this other builder and this seller said, hey, you know, it's going fast. Well, you don't have a commitment. You haven't explained that commitment yet. We don't even have a contract for that agreement because you never close. So you don't have a right to get mad and call people disloyal if you don't have people sign agreements that clearly explain the obligations between you two. So please use buyer agency agreements, number one. And number two, please understand that that's closing. We're closing for commitments. So if you're not asking for commitments when we're closing, then we're not really closing. We're just hoping and wishing. And quite frankly, our expectations can really, really get damaged about this whole industry going forward. With that said, thank you guys for watching this module on closing and the art of closing.